Shalom, here we are again. I just love relating stories and especially stories that have a point to them and that something someone else can learn from and that I too have learned from. This is a story about, it's called My Grandmama Set Me Up. Okay. I have been living in New York City for many years. Okay. And when I moved back to Detroit, my hometown, in 1989, my father's mother, my grandmother, invited me to go to church with her. And so I went. She went to a church called Bethlehem Temple. And I'm not sure what kind of church it was. I think probably non denominational and a little bit like Baptist or whatever. But anyway, I went. And after service, several people approached me with questions that I thought were kind of personal. I had nothing to hide, so I cheerily answered. And someone even asked how old I was. Now, I thought I was holding up pretty good for my age, so I answered truthfully. I said 40. Okay. Well, as soon as the crowd dissipated, my grandmama pulled me to the side and she said, quite curtly, don't you ever tell nobody you 40. If they ask you, you tell them 23. Okay. My eyes popped and I kind of swallowed down a laugh because um, I couldn't understand this. But unbeknownst to me, Grandmama had been conspiring to get me married to the pastor's brother. However, I had spoiled her plan because I know the pastor's brother was probably way younger than 40, and he wasn't about to get married to a 40-year-old woman. Okay. Now, Grandmama and I had locked heads several times over the years, and I moved back to Detroit in '89. My grandmother died in '94. My dad passed in '92. Okay, so the time I'm talking about now is between the '89 and '92, and so we had several confrontations, and it started out when I refused to move in with her and be her roommate, okay? Because I just knew that was going to be a mess, okay? Gonna be a mess. Here I was, straight up heathen, okay? And my grandmama had religious rules that women could not show their elbows, okay? So I know this wasn't going to work. So I was saving myself and her a bunch of grief. But, she got upset about that. And sometimes we would get into arguments. My grandma was I don't know, trying to think of the word. She was like a spitfire, okay. And grandma would come at you. She really come at you. But part the time she raised me and my mom did too, and I could come back at you. My grandmama's always line was, why are you always blah 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 blah? Because you're gonna run an 80-year-old woman's blood pressure up high. Okay, so then I'm trying to back up and back off, but grandma sometimes still coming. Now my dad, he was very patient with his mom. He was, like some people say, bless his soul. I never heard him argue with his mama. I never heard him talk bad about his mama. He loved his mama. And he really looked after her. She lived maybe 15, 20 minutes away from where we were living there in Detroit. But my grandmother had been a widow since I was 11 or 12 years old. And when my daddy started having seizures, um, the three of us, him and his mom and I, spent time together because I was the one that would drive him over to see his mother. A lot of times she would come to see him. But I learned to temper my attitude and my words with her. And my dad showed me how to love my grandma. Okay, Lord also helped me too. There was one Thanksgiving Day that we went by my grandmother's. Now, Thanksgiving Day was a big to do in Detroit, okay, because for me and Floyd, okay, because we had a lot of demands placed on us. The First thing was that my mother's family always had a big Thanksgiving dinner, and it was done at rotating houses. And sometimes my mother and I would get together and we would host it, and it would be a minimum of 80 people there. Okay, so we had to go to that. Then Floyd's mother always cooked, and so just out of obligation, we had to go there. But Floyd's sister, her husband always wanted her to cook food and have it at home, so we had to go past her house and eat. But then she would come over later at her mother's house and she would eat. So that's what my family, Floyd's mother, Floyd's sister. Then we had my daddy's first cousin. She would always cook, her and her husband cook, and we would always go by there because they would be offended if we didn't come by there. And they put out a big spread. She had lots of children and stuff like that. And then it was my grandmother. Now my grandmother, this is my dad's mother. She always cooked. It was almost like a Thanksgiving breakfast because we would start the day off going there. And this particular day, she cooked duck. Okay, and so my sister was there. My sister was visiting from California. And so after the meal was over, my sister and I just automatically went to the kitchen. And my grandma didn't have a dishwasher. But she had those, what was the Harvest Gold and avocado green. She had the Harvest Gold kitchen appliances. Okay, so I'm taking you back some, but this was, way back when she had the stuff. So anyway, we were washing dishes. And so my grandmother came in. And let me tell you just a little bit background so you can understand the context of this. My grandmother never got along with my mother, and that was because when um, my dad was dating a woman when he'd gotten out of the service, and Valoria, something like that. And Valoria knew my mom, and Valoria was going out of town, and she foolishly asked my mother to watch her boyfriend while she was gone. Well, my mama watched him good enough that my mama and my dad got married. Okay, now, I don't know what Valoria's side of the story was, how she felt about it, nothing, because I never met her. But my grandmother was quite upset because she really liked Valoria, and I think that's what the woman's name was. And so she kind of never really got over that my mama had stole my daddy. And my daddy, let me also tell you too, was an alcoholic, okay? But he was an alcoholic that went to work, took care of his family and stuff like that. His alcoholism got him internally. He died of cirrhosis of the liver. Okay, and my grandmother kind of, she had one time said to me, if my mom had been a better wife, her son would have been a better man. And I looked at her like, my mom ain't an alcoholic, you know. But anyway, so back to the Thanksgiving breakfast. Okay, so my sister and I get up from the table and we go to wash the dishes. And so my grandmother come in, and so she's just really delicious. Oh, you girls are just so wonderful that you all would do this. Because the Lord knows you ain't had nobody to raise you up. Okay, that was enough. And Floyd heard it. Floyd rushed over to me and grabbed me. Because, I was about to get it. I was about to get it on, because I know she was talking about my mama. Okay, ain't that something? But anyway. A few months before my dad died, he asked me, how are you and my mama getting along? And I had learned. Okay, I said, we're doing fine. I go and see her often, and we talk. He smiled deeply and said, that's good. That's good. It wasn't long. He knew he wasn't long for this world. He wanted to be sure that I would finish the work of taking care of his mom. I did. And Messiah has given us a work to finish. A part of that work is to love others, and that's what we must do. And the scripture that will tell us about that is John 15:13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. And if you are my friends, you will do whatsoever I command you. And before that, he has said in John 15:12, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. And I loved my grandma. And you all will hear more stories about my grandma because she was something else. All right. Shalom. And remember to like and share. And please subscribe if you haven't. Thanks.